My name is Sherry Wall, and I'm here today to talk about the culture of alcoholism in the United States. Have you ever wondered how alcohol has slowly become such a staple in the lives of everyday Americans? The more I study psychology and sociology, the more I wonder how this indulgence has become so widely accepted. It's almost a requirement in some circles. Alcohol is a culture all in itself and poses the age-old question, which came first, the alcohol or the alcoholic? For as long as history can recall, people of all societal levels, cultures, and races have enjoyed their booze. There are many different ways alcohol has run parallel with the social experience, health, and longevity. Today, I'm here to discuss the culture of alcoholism in the United States. I will begin with a brief history of how alcohol came into our country. More specifically, I will discuss two key points, which are what is alcoholism and are there different types of alcoholics. First, I'd like to speak to you about how drinking alcohol has become an enjoyable trade in the United States, starting with the origin of our country as individual colonies. It's no secret that alcohol played a major role in the shaping of our nation. When the Mayflower headed for the New World in 1620, it carried more beer than water. Mostly because back in that day, beer was more sanitary than the water resources that they had at the time. It was common for the English ancestors of the first colonists to have beer or ale with every meal, regardless of what their age was. Now the colonists carried this tradition over from Europe and continued it on. According to J.C. Furness, colonists maintained the traditional view of Europeans that distilled spirits were aqua vitae, or water of life. According to the Laguna Treatment Center, which is my visual aid here, our founding fathers were famous for their heavy drinking. I've created this visual aid that kind of showcases, there was 53 delegates over the course of 2 days signing the Constitution. This is how much they had to drink, which was 60 bottles of claret, 54 bottles of Madeira, 22 bottles of beer, 12 bottles of beer, 22 bottles of porter, 8 bottles of whiskey, 8 bottles of hard cider, and 7 bowls of alcoholic punch. Wow. So, next I will discuss exactly what defines alcoholism. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary on www.merriam-webster.com defines alcoholism as a chronic, progressive, potentially fatal disorder marked by excessively and usually compulsive drinking of alcohol, leading to psychological and physical dependence or addiction. Alcoholism, or alcohol dependence, however, is defined by the American Medical Association as a primary chronic disease characterized by genetic, psychosocial, and environmental factors influencing its development. So you can see that there's a difference in the Standard Dictionary versus the Medical Association. The Standard Dictionary is focusing more on the symptoms and a straight definition, where the Medical Association is taking into consideration with their definition the evolution of the disease from each individual and how different things can impact them. So the disease of alcoholism affects millions of people. They just can't control their drinking. Doesn't really choose a class, race, education level, doesn't matter. So you may wonder, are people that have alcoholism born with it, or is it something that evolves? Actually, the answer could be either. According to Miranda Hiddey, a medical researcher and writer, there are 5 different types of alcoholics that can be classified. The first type, which also happens to be the largest, is the young adult subtype. This makes up 32% of the alcoholic drinking population, and they typically aren't even aware that they're alcoholics. The average age range is 20 to 24, and the most qualifying factor for this stereotype is binge drinking. So they're binge drinkers, heavy drinkers, aren't aware of the drinking epidemic, drinking problem in the United States. So the next subtype is called the young antisocial subtype, and it's the second largest subtype, comprising 21% of the U.S. drinking population. The average age is 26, and over half of these individuals have antisocial personality disorder. They start drinking around the age of 15 and typically are alcoholics by the age of 18. They are more likely to smoke tobacco and marijuana in conjunction with drinking. The next subtype is probably what you all have already heard of as functioning alcoholics. The medical community refers to them as the functional subtype. This group is 19% of the U.S. drinking population. It consists of, or alcoholic population, excuse me, it consists of people that are middle-aged, usually have families, kids. They appear perfectly, functional, which is why it's the functional subtype. But what makes them different is they drink on average every other day, and when they drink more than 5 drinks, and obviously they drink to get drunk. So the intermediate familial subtype is another 19% of the U.S. drinking population. These alcoholics typically consist of people that have been drinking since around the age of 17, and it progresses until about the age of 30. Most of these individuals have alcoholism or heavy alcohol in their drinking or in their family, which has influenced them as drinkers, and it just kind of develops over a long period of time. I already said that, sorry. Lastly, we have the chronic severe subtype, which is 9% of the U.S. alcoholic population. This group includes mostly men, has the highest rate of divorce, and tends to use illicit or prescription drugs along with the drinking, typically to calm their nerves. So in closing, we've discussed a little bit about the culture of alcoholism in the United States. We discussed a brief history of how drinking was a common social norm in the days of Christopher Columbus, a tradition brought over from Europe. We also discussed the definition of alcoholism from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, as well as the American Medical Association. After I discussed the definition of alcoholism, I described the 5 categories of alcoholics and how each subtype differs. I hope that today you've learned a brief account about the culture of alcoholism in America. In conclusion, nobody would have ever imagined the quantity of alcohol involved in the signing of the Constitution. I would say cheers to a heightened awareness, but I'd rather end on a sobering statistic, which is, according to Patty Richards from Talbot Recovery Center, teen alcohol use kills 4,700 people every year. That's more than all illegal drugs combined. Last year, the United States spent $199 billion, and it's become quite a thing. So all it takes is raising awareness with the right person. Who knows, maybe somebody in this room will one day find a way to become the family, friend, coworker, or scholar to save someone's life, maybe even their own. Thank you for your time.